I got involved in Dark Shadows, I guess in the normal way that people tend to get involved with one show or another. The usual audition. Fortunately, it wasn't a cattle call. However, I can recall one fellow who showed up in full Frankenstein regalia. I mean, from a huge Boris Karloff type mask down to the whole thing with high boots and the whole bit. And I thought it was quite curious at that time. And I just auditioned for the part, no differently than anybody else would for something else, not having any idea what I was getting involved in. And when I was fortunately asked if I would like to do it, I was quite happy about it, and the results are there on tape. I had some wonderful experiences working on the show and delving into the character of Adam, particularly to the extent of, shall we say, being a child in a man's body, or a monster's body, as the case may be. I spent a good deal of time just really studying children and trying to understand from the very beginning what it is, what happens to a child from the moment they're born, and developed the character virtually from birth. And particularly what happens when a baby opens his eyes for the first time. What does he perceive? What does he see? What does he not see? Asking a great deal of questions of myself as an actor in that area. How do I respond to a sound, a new person? What kind of response would a baby have to a sharp sound made behind him, for example? And all of these things went into the early development, the early child development of Adam as a character. And then it went on from there to points when Adam became more articulate, when he could talk. And once he talked, as you know, you couldn't shut him up anymore. So as Adam became more verbal, with the help of Professor Stokes, and as he took in all of that incredible information that the professor was teaching him, unfortunately, Barnabas became the recipient of all of that language, and it just developed to that point where Adam was a full-blown human being and fully developed. There was a great deal of humor in our experience as actors. I think I can talk for other people as well as myself, but I'll just talk for myself at this moment. Doing the show, it was the kind of experience where it was like doing a Broadway show day after day. I mean, granted the dialogue changed, but the cast was relatively the same, and there was a great feeling of camaraderie as far as I felt, and we had such opportunity to really clown around off camera, and then there were times on camera where we couldn't, where it was unavoidable as far as clowning around is concerned. On camera, I can tell you that humorously, Johnny Carlin and I had some wonderful, wonderful moments together, particularly in the early times when I was chained in the basement. If anybody remembers that particular scene with the chicken leg, where John was tantalizing me with, Willie, that is, tantalized me with that chicken leg, and we just had such a wonderful time with that. And there were other moments like that that happened, oh God. And the other thing that I found extremely humorous about doing the show was the fact that since in those days and the budget was such that this was a one-take show. That is, if you didn't do it the first time, it was too bad, because that's what went on the air. And not only were there occasions when actors had difficulty with lines and somebody else had to cover for them, and that was always panic time, but it was fun. It was really challenging to do it this way because you knew you had no other choice. This was it. The camera's rolling, go. No choice, no chance to correct anything. There were occasions when the sets would start rattling. There were also occasions when I can recall that there was a show when one of the grips was visible on camera. I think he had his pants half down or something. He was straightening his pants. And they just kept going. There was nothing else they could do. All of these things are wonderful memories that I certainly will never forget. After all these years and all of the conventions and everything that I've had the experience of being involved with, must say that I've been very surprised that there's been this much interest, and I think it's wonderful, that's lasted all these years, lasted to the extent that not only have there been a number of motion pictures produced, and I'm sure a great deal of it has to do with the interest of all the people who had seen the show over the years, their interest. I'm just absolutely flabbergasted that this thing has lasted all these years. In comparison to other things that have had kind of a cult feel to it, this has kind of lasted in a vacuum. The shows were done in the late 60s, and since then nothing has been done, except for these movies. But all those years in between, there has been such a following that kept it all alive, and it's been a wonderful experience being part of that. I think that the thing that I'll remember the most about Dark Shadows, maybe two things. The first being the closeness of the cast. There was such a feeling of ensemble, such a feeling of sharing between us all, that it's an experience that I have not had in other theatrical experiences. The other thing that I really, really fondly think of forever will be the fans, the kids that used to hang out outside the stage door, the fan clubs and the people in them, all the people, the same people, a lot of the same people that I've met and re-met many, many times at different conventions. It's all been a marvelous, marvelous experience for me, and I hope for everybody else who was involved.